My daughter read the Back to Godhead magazine. Came home, we lived in Santa Barbara, with her magazines. She had more than one, I think. Locked herself in the bedroom, and for 2 days, she did nothing but read. And when she came out, we were sure that there was something that needed investigating. But came Saturday, and she said she was leaving for Los Angeles to come to the temple. And of course, we trusted that whatever she was reading and pertained to this temple was something that we should be satisfied was innocent enough. But a week later, my husband and I came to visit. And it so happens that day, that weekend, Prabhupada was here. And so we met in the building across the street, the first building. And I remember Prabhupada sat on the upper level while the chairs and seats for everybody else was down, just a little bit down below. And questions were asked of him. And of course, I raised my hand because I didn't know what this was all about. And I said, if this is such a good thing for all people to become involved in, why did it take so long to come to us? And he said, you were late. And suddenly all the devotees to my right, back there, let up a howl of joy. And he turned to them and he said, and you were all late. But it wasn't until about a year later, or two, I think, when he came back to visit. And that was when we met and spoke much more. In fact, that afternoon, Prabhupada gave me his lunch and told us, me and my husband, how glad he was that we were taking an interest. And he asked us a little bit about ourselves. And I remember he asked Sam what kind of a business he was in. And Sam said he was in the used furniture. He said, used like people like me, he said. A year later, my parents, who were elderly, came to visit from Florida. And Leela told us about her experience on Sankirtan. And my mother said, I'd like to do that. And my father said, I would too. So the devotees there gave my parents some Back to Godheads. And there they were, walking up and down the street, offering the Back to Godhead magazines. And every time someone would accept it, my father would clap. He was so happy that people were showing an interest. But he was even happier, both of them were, when I brought them here. And as we entered the temple doors, my father, in his enthusiasm, was so happy that I remember he bent down and kissed the door. He walked in and he looked at the deities. And he said, this is the nicest thing I ever saw in my whole life. That's something to remember. We felt very comfortable with the fact that she was involved in something that was so beneficial for her. But in addition, I felt the need that we needed for ourselves was coming from our own child. Up until then, we had very little religious feelings. Both my parents were very young people and had no opportunity, financially and otherwise, to get involved in a religion, which would have suited them, I think, at that time. But it wasn't until they met the devotees and heard about the temple and came to the temple. As a matter of fact, the temple in Florida, South Florida, where they lived, they had signed up. My father had signed up for he and my mother to move into the temple. Now then, they said, I remember one walk we took, and I said, you know, Pop, that's fine, but you know you can't smoke any cigars. He said, I only smoke one. I said, not even one, Pop. He takes the cigar out of his pocket. He breaks it in half. He said, okay, I'm done.
Je anilo premadana koruna prachu Je anilo